Alright folks, I got another video for you. This is Ozark Patriot. This is in my home here in Kansas City. Down there on my farm a year or so ago, some dickhead went and swiped a bunch of stuff off that farm. They caught him, put him in prison, whatever. But I never got any of the stuff back. None of it was insured, so I just lost out. Pickup truck, little tractor, generator set, a bunch of stuff. So as I can afford it, one thing at a time, I've been replacing the stuff that was stolen. And this is one of the things that got stolen. Was one identical to this one. And I thought I'd show you guys how I did this, and then you can do it however you want. But this is an Onan Generator. This is a 4 kW, and it's out of an RV. So how do you take an RV generator and turn it into something that's going to be useful, you know, stationary or on the farm or whatever? So this is what, we'll just go around here and show you what I did. First of all, I left the same base that was on there is still attached to the bottom. And I don't remember how I did the last, this is about the third one of these I've done. I don't remember how I did the other ones. But this one I just took some 2-inch angle and bolted it to the underside of the regular pan that's underneath these generators, and that goes all the way straight across. Then I took some angle and I bolted the angle. I didn't weld it. I bolted the angle. I don't know if you can see it there. I bolted the angle, these uprights, to these cross pieces. The reason I did that is so if I need to work or service the generator, I can just take those 1/4-inch bolts out. There's 2 on each leg. I take this whole top section off, then I have regular access to the generator. This rod here, this pipe sticking out here, is actually the handle. I can get it loose here. And what I did, I just welded a little piece of tube down there, welded a little piece of tube right here, and this way, if it's on wheels, you can roll it around however you got to. Kind of slick. The muffler, this one was actually mounted on the back of a utility company truck. So what I did, this had the muffler that was vertical. This is not an RV muffler. So what I did is I just took the clamp loose. Actually, I had to take this whole generator apart for different reasons. But yeah, when I put it back together, I took the clamp loose here at the end, and then I just turned it horizontal, and I made me a bracket. This is, I don't know, 1.5-inch angle iron. This is 1.5 or 1.1/8 angle iron, and a 4-inch muffler clamp. It had to be, this muffler is really not exactly 4 inches across, but it was close enough I could bend the legs of the clamp, and I had to grind out the clamp itself to get it to where a perfect fit. But there you go. Now I got a horizontal muffler. The gas tank, what I did for hold downs, I don't know if you guys can see them or not. You can see I just welded some washers onto the legs here. And that's what I use for my hold down stuff. We're not talking real high technology here. You can see that leg's bolted on there. The wheels and axle bolts I just got out of Ace Hardware up the street here. You can see that was just bolted on there. The output for the electrical, this is a BGE Spec E. No, it's a BGE Spec C. And this has got this transformer mounted on the outside, and that's supposed to be a load dampening transformer. It's kind of a stupid idea. They only used it on this one, but it works fine. Who cares? You got the voltage regulator hiding underneath there. Now, what I did on this one here, as you can see, I used an outboard motor tank, or a boat tank for an outboard motor. And I want to tell you, folks, 2 years ago I did one of these, and that tank was 25 bucks. Now the cheapest tank I could find was 70. But we don't have any inflation, right? Don't worry about it. So a small car battery, this one here is just a little bit bigger than a lawnmower battery. It's the smallest car battery you can buy. It's plenty for this thing. I just have the ground wire out here, the generator case, and I got the hot wire going down there to the where it would normally be on an RV. Little fuel filter there, just let me know if we're clogging stuff up. Another one of those handy dandy washers welded on there. And a regular old bolt down kit here. A battery hold down kit I bought at parts store for $5. And that's all there is to it. 1/4 inch fuel line. Down here through a filter. That pump comes on the on this generator. I haven't touched anything on there. Now when I say I had to tear it down, I had a problem. This generator itself was stored in a guy's barn for years. This thing has been run for many years. And when I got it, it was so full of mouse droppings that the generator wouldn't even turn over high enough to start. You could crank it, you could twist it over by hand, but the starter couldn't bring it up to an area where it would start. So what I did is, before I put that top section on there, I split the generator, and you got to make some tools to do it. Onan doesn't make it easy, that's for sure. And then I took the generator head and the generator stator off, and in between each one of those stages there was piles of mouse droppings. So I finally got the thing all cleaned out, wiped it all out with lacquer thinner, put it all back together, and voila, it works perfect. Okay. If you guys notice, you Onan guys will notice this one has the extended shaft on the back. This was used, let me look over here where my parts box is. Yeah, here we go. This was used, believe it or not, with a Lovejoy coupling, and this just slides on here. That actually drove a hydraulic pump. This was mounted on a local utility truck, and that's how it drove the hydraulics on the lift. Pretty slick. I might use this for something else later, so I thought I might as well save it. It fits right on there. Here's some of the tools I made to take this thing apart. Or if you guys are looking at this thing and going, man, this is way something I couldn't do, never could do. Let me tell you, I don't have like a whole machine shop. I got a MIG welder, and I got a cutoff saw. There's a metal and a wood one. Got me a drill press, some grinders and such. But I don't have like everything a guy needs. You just gotta make do, man. If you had to do this with a file and a hammer, I guess you could. It'd just take you a while. Personally, I wouldn't do it. But anyway, this is going to go back down to my farm. There's been provisions made on the farm where the same situation is not going to work. The farm's got a lot of alarms now on it, and a couple layers deep, so nobody's getting on the farm to steal my stuff. Not without everybody knowing about it. So anyway, a couple of things to worry about. The Onan, it's a continuous duty unit. I mean, this is supposed to go underneath an RV, and people run it for hours or days at a time. I mean, they just, as long as you put fuel in it. The thing holds 4 quarts of oil, and it burns 0.6 gallons per hour. So there's a 6-gallon tank. So it's going to run all day on that. That's for sure. It was a half a gallon to run 12 hours, right? So it'd probably run about 10 hours continuous out of that fuel tank there. It'd be too expensive to use this for electricity for your farm. If it's going to be your private power plant, it'd be too expensive. I mean, what fuel costs nowadays is better to run power, or get some other way of doing it. This one uses too much fuel to run continuously. But anyway, when I wired this up, I got this box and I just welded this utility box onto the angle iron here. And those outlets, even though it's got a 220 outlet on the bottom, this is a 4-wire generator. So you can wire it 220 or 110 or 110 only or 220 only or 110 and 220. Well, right now it's wired 110 only. The reason I do that is because the breakers on the side of the unit here, this is a 4,000 watt generator, so these breakers here only carry about 16 amps, then they trip out. Now if you had a bigger one, if you had a 6500 or an 8,000 watt, then I would wire a dedicated 240 outlet. But this one can't carry it. It's not big, in my opinion, it's not big enough. And if you had a 240 load that you really needed, Oh, let's say you had a well and you absolutely positively had to power the well from the generator, then you could probably dedicate a 240 run to it. But the way it's routed now, both of those breakers they're running in parallel. So they can provide 38 amps coming out of those outlets. So I can run anything I need to on 110. It's big enough to run the air compressor, the welder, anything. But I don't have it routed for 220 because the loads, like that air compressor, the load is so high that it won't work off of one side of this thing. So instead of separating the generator into 2,000 watt generators, I just run it as a 4,000 watt 110 volt generator. It's nice to have the capability though. Someday I might need it. If I do, it's no big deal to rewire. It just takes a little while. It's no big deal. Anyway, I thought I'd show you guys. To start and run these is pretty simple. You just fire them up. You should always make sure the breakers are open. You see it says off here? The breakers are off before you start the unit. Then let the unit warm up for a few minutes. And also to make sure those are off before you shut it down. It does honk when it's unloaded and when it's cold, like it is now. When you load it up, it'll smooth out. All I got powered on here is this little heater. It's a little 1,000 watt heater. It's just enough to troubleshoot the generator and to see if it's going to run or not. I haven't pulled any real heavy loads with it yet, but I don't see why it wouldn't. But like I said, before you shut it down, open your breakers, and then go ahead and stop it. That's really all there is to it. Now, if you're going to let this sit on the farm for 6 months before you use it again, you may want to, and I do, I disconnect the fuel pump right here while it's running. I open the breakers and I disconnect the fuel pump right here. It's just got this little spade connector. And I let the engine run out of fuel all by itself. Then reconnect that and then hit the stop button several times and make sure that all the relays are open inside here. Then I disconnect the negative lead and I disconnect the fuel tank, and that's how I let it sit with the carburetor completely empty so that we don't get varnish and gum up the carburetor. And next time you use it, just hook up your fuel on top and then run some 12 volt to the pump, which is real easy since you got 12 volt right there. Hook up your negative lead and start it back up and you're good to go. So these earlier ones, this is an Emerald 1. The ones that I've owned are Emerald 1s and Emerald 2s. They do have a circuit board in them. If you guys are concerned about EMP, you should probably get an earlier one that has no circuit boards in it, or buy a spare circuit board. You know, that the only thing electronic in here is the control board that's actually on the generator. Inside that black panel right there, it says Onan on it. That's all there is to it. The rest of it's all mechanical. The governor's mechanical. All the stator windings and everything are all inside that aluminum case. I think they're pretty well lightning or EMP proof. Fuel pump. You could gravity feed this thing if you had to with the fuel tank above it. You just bypass that fuel pump if you had to. So anyway, I thought I'd show you how I did it. Also document, you know, on the internet that it's here, so that if somebody steals this one, maybe I get insurance to buy me another one. I don't know. I guarantee you it's pretty shitty thing to do. Go to a guy's farm and steal all his stuff. It cost me 15 grand, no insurance. So that really sucks. So it takes a long time to make that kind of money back. These tie downs, I just kind of document how I made those. That's just a piece of angle iron with a washer welded to them. Works just fine. Thing holds that battery down just great. Thing doesn't vibrate very much. Anyway, that's my little generator for the farm. you use for a backup for the house like this, but I already have one for here. So next trip I go to the farm, I'll take this with me. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you guys later. Ozark Patriot, I'm out.